Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. I hope that everyone is having a great time at the online chess camp. Right now, I am still getting ready to set up. So just need some time. Uh-huh. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. I am going to be live streaming from 2 to 3 p.m. So I will be starting in about 5 minutes. In the meantime, um, I want you to just take a look at this puzzle. It is right to move, and I want you to figure out what the best move is for white. We are going to get started in about 5 minutes at 2 p.m. Um, so, yes. So I'm still setting it up, so please be patient. Hi everyone, welcome to my live stream. I am going to be starting at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so that's going to be in 5 minutes. I am waiting for more people to show up. In the meantime, you can try to solve this puzzle. It is white to move, and you got to figure out what the best move is. And during this hour, if you think you know the answer, I want you to type your answer in the YouTube chat box so I can read it. I'm going to be showing some awesome positions to you guys today. Hope that everyone is having a great day today. I'm in California, and it is pretty sunny outside, so that's fantastic. Hi everyone, welcome to my live stream. We're going to be starting in about 1 minute. In the meantime, I would like you to solve this puzzle. It is white to move, and you got to figure out what the best move is for white. So we're going to start very shortly. Hope that everyone's having a great day. Okay. I guess everyone is slow. Hi everyone, welcome to my live stream. Today I'm going to be showing you some awesome chess puzzles, and in this position right here, it is white to move and win. If you think you know the answer, I want you to type your answer in the YouTube chat box so I can read it. Okay, so in this first position, it's white to move, and what is white's best move? So just talk about what's going on. Notice that black's king is very exposed right now. So that's very important to notice. So again, if you think you know the answer to this puzzle, please type something in the YouTube chat box so I can read it. Hi everyone, welcome to my live stream. Today I am going to be showing you some awesome positions, and I'm sure you will like it. Our first position is right here, and it is white to move, and you got to figure out what the best move is. So if you think you know the answer, I want you to type it in the YouTube chat box so I can read it. Because I'm not gonna you guys have to type answers, in the YouTube chat box so I can read it, or I'm not gonna move on. So, it's white to move. So, I'm gonna give you guys some hints. This king is in, the center of the board, so that's good to know. Um, this king is not in a good place. Also notice that, this bishop is on the same diagonal as this king. So that's another thing that's very important to notice. So again, what is white's best move? So we've got our first answer, and JJ, you've been answering a lot of my questions. Um, yes, okay, it is rook to f6, and in this, when you move the rook to f6, this is checkmate. Hi, Never Sleep. Hi, welcome to my live stream. I'm gonna be live streaming for about an hour, and it's going to be fun. Um, a lot of people in this position might be tempted to just take the queen, and it is a good move, but once this king gets out of check, then the game continues. This is why it's important to consider all checks, because again, the bishop, the rook, and the king, they're on the same diagonal, so you need to figure out, like, okay, what are some ways that we can check the king? And if we notice right now, when we go rook to f6, this is checkmate, because notice that yes, the bishop is checking the king, And notice this king cannot go to these squares because of this rook. This knight is controlling these squares, and notice this king cannot go here because of the bishop, and the king cannot go here or here because of these two pawns. So that's a checkmate. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to something else. We're gonna go ahead and move on to this position. And in this position, the last move was this pawn going to e5, and I want you to tell me what the best move is for white. So again, if you think you know the answer, go ahead and just type it in the YouTube chat box. So the last move was pawn to e5. It is white to move. So what is white's best move? Okay, so never sleep. Okay, so I got some answers. So never sleep said RF takes the pawn on this pawn takes the pawn on f7. Okay, that's true. And then the king's only move is to go here. And then what do we do now? So the most obvious move was for the rook to just take it, and then that's going to be checkmate. But JJ Liu says there is okay. So there's actually a checkmate in one. RX H7. Yeah, exactly. So if we do it this way, that's a checkmate. No problem. This is a good way to continue. But in this position, it's actually a checkmate. And JJ says DX E6. So you have to remember about en passant. So I hope that Chris Torres, I hope that he taught you what en passant is. And en passant, again, is a special pawn move. So remember, since this pawn moved 2 spaces, and since this pawn is right next to this pawn, we can do en passant by moving this pawn to e6. The pawn on the black pawn on e5 disappears, and this is actually a checkmate. I hope that this is making sense. The reason why this is checkmate is because, first of all, this bishop is checking the king. Also, notice this pawn cannot move up to f6 because this rook is pinning the pawn to the king. This king cannot go to g8 because of this knight, and also notice this king cannot go to h8 because of this bishop. So you got to remember is when you're playing chess games, remember about that special pawn move, because a lot of, like, if you're just starting out in chess, I assume that a good number of beginners, they don't know what en passant is, so you gotta just keep that in, just remind yourself, like, en passant, right? So never sleep said queen to f6. This is actually a good try. It is safe to move the queen over here because of the rook, but this is not checkmate because the king can just take the knight. So just remember, sometimes en passant is the best move. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on. What I'm gonna do is I am gonna go ahead and set up a position, and I hope you guys will enjoy this. So let me go ahead and let me set it up. We're gonna go ahead and set up. Let me set this up right now. Okay. Hold on. Okay, let's go ahead and set up this one. This is going to be an end game, but I think it's good to know. So we've got a pawn here, we have a pawn here. White's king is on h8, and we also have the king over here. Okay, in this position, it is white to move. What do you think the outcome should be? Just so that you know, black is going this way. Never Sleep says, can we study Rook Pawn in game? Yes, we can. I will show you guys some Rook Pawn in games today, and I think that this is a good start. So in this position, it is white to move, and I'm gonna just give you guys a hint is taking this pawn would be a huge mistake because if we take it, then black's pawn can go ahead and queen. So because of that, what should white do in this position? So I'll give you guys some time to think about it. So it's white to move, and again, black pawns are going this way. Never Sleep says rook to b1. Okay, this is a good start. We're gonna go ahead and go rook to b1. And now this rook is attacking this pawn. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and move the king over to d3. What should we do now as white? So what should we do? It is white to move. So it's white to move. Rook goes to g1. Exactly. I think you guys got the concept, so that's great. The rook is going to go ahead and go back to g1. And so let me just talk to you about why we want to move the rook to g1. Let's say that we move the king over to h7. If that happens, then the king can go here, and then now white is in big trouble because this king is attacking this rook. If the rook goes here, then black can just promote the pawn to a queen, and this is not looking good for white right now. So we're gonna, yeah, so we want to simply just move the rook over to g1. Now, the other thing we want to think about is the reason why this is a good move is because, again, if the king ever goes to c2, then this rook can take the pawn with check. And then once the king moves here, then the rook can just take the pawn, and then the game is going to be a draw. So that's very interesting, right? So right, so that's yeah. So that's the position. So I think that's very interesting. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and set up a position. This is a famous position. Let me just show you right now. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and actually no, this is gonna be a drawing position. Yeah, this is like a must know look in game. And the position is going to be like this. Okay, in this position, it is white to move. And the question is, what should white do in this position? So if you notice right now, okay, so this pawn is going this way. And white, it seems like white is in trouble right now because white is down a pawn. So the question is, what should white do in this position? So if you guys think you know the answer, go ahead and just type it in the YouTube chat box. It is white to move, and Never Sleep says king to e1. Okay. I think we could do that, but it's not the proper move. That's not the move I'm looking for. Um, so let's try again. It's not with the king right now. We want to do something else. Okay, right. Um, so what should white do in this position? So remember, black is trying to win, but in this position, we want to draw in this position right now. Okay. Um, so Never Sleep says rook to a4. Um, okay. I think that's very interesting. With rook to a4, it does pin the pawn to the king. So the question is like, what would you do if the king goes here? Then what would you do now? So if you guys notice right now, when we move, because right now the bar says it's 0-0. So if we move the rook to a4, and notice that the black bar it just drops down to 54. Um, so okay, so Never Sleep says rook to a3, and guess what? Yep, this is the drawing move. Okay, um, okay, so um, you said king rook goes to e8. No, we're actually gonna go ahead and go rook to a3. And let me just talk about this move. First of all, this rook it's controlling the third rank, so therefore it stops this king from going to the third rank. So that's very, very good. So this is yeah, this is the first move to draw. I'm gonna go ahead and move the rook over to h2. And then what should white do now? So what should white do? Never Sleep says okay. Um okay, so I see the first answer was king to e3. Yep, that works. We can do that. JJ says rook to b3, and both of these moves are correct. Um Let me just explain right now. Rook to b3 is good because this rook is still controlling the third rank, so that's great. Also notice that if the king goes here, then notice this king still cannot go to the third rank. So I'm going to go ahead and just move the rook to b3. Um, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and move the rook over to a2. And then what should white do right now? So it's white to move. Yep, okay. So JJ and Never Sleep says rook to h3. Yep, we want to do that. And I think you guys got the idea. Um um we want to just have this rook on the third rank, and the reason why we're gonna do this is because it stops this king from going to the third rank. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and check you, and then what should we do? King goes to e2. Yeah. I okay, so to be honest, I okay, so we get king to e2 and then also king to d2. I actually prefer king to d2. And the reason why is because this king it's um in front of this pawn. That's why king to e2 it's okay, but you know one day like, the pawn can check. I prefer king to d2, but again, king to e2 is fine. So king goes to d2, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and check you again. And then it's white to move. So how should white get out of check? So what should white do to get out of check? Yeah, so we're gonna go king to d1, and then notice again, the king and pawn, they're on the same line, so that's great. Okay, yep, king to d1, that's good. Okay, and now black is gonna try to win, and black is gonna go ahead and move the pawn to d3. And what should white do now? So again, this is still a draw, but we have to play correctly. So the question is, it is white to move. What should white do in this position? Okay, so JJ's okay, so I've got two answers right now. JJ says rook to h4. Yep, that leads to a draw. Okay. So if I go here, then what do we do? But also Never Sleep says rook goes to king goes to e1. Okay, let's just talk about rook to h4 right now. So if rook goes to h4, you are checking my king. I'm gonna go ahead and then go here. And then what should white do? Rook to h3. Yep. Okay, so if you guys notice right now, black is actually threatening checkmate, so we have to go rook to h3. Okay, and you're checking my king. I am going to go ahead and move the king over to d4. And then what should we do now? So what should I do? Rook goes to h4. Okay. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, so I've got a couple of answers. Two people say rook to h4, and then JJ says rook to h8. Let's just talk about rook to h4 first. So if the rook goes to h4, notice that you are checking my king, and I am going to go ahead and move the king over to c3, so my king can hide behind the pawn. If I go back to king to e3, then you're going to continue to check me. So if you go rook to h4, I'm going to go ahead and then go here. And then what should I do right now? Is white in a good position right now? White is actually not in a good position because black is threatening checkmate right now. So just so that you know, I think that rook to h4, it is a good try, but it does not work because once rook goes to h4, notice like right now it's the bar says it's 0-0, and once you move rook to h4, notice the bar drops, and now it's made an 18 for black. The king can go here, and then white is not in a good position. JJ says rook to h8, and this is exactly what we want to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move the king over to c3, and then what should white do right now? Rook goes to c8. Yep, we're gonna go ahead and because right now black is threatening checkmate. Yes, and we don't want to get checkmated. So we gotta go rook to c8. It checks the king. So okay, I gotta move the king. I'm gonna go ahead and then go here. And then what should I do now? Rook to d8. Yep, exactly. We're gonna go ahead and go here and check. And if you notice right now, this king has nowhere to hide, right? The rook continues to check the king, but this king has no pawns to hide behind, right? So let's say that the king goes here. Then what do we deal? So we've got rook. Yes, rook to e8. We're going to continue the check. So let's say that the king goes here. We're going to continue to check the king. And yep, exactly. Let's say that I go here. And then what should I do right now? So it's white to move. So what should I do? Rook goes to e8. Yeah, we can go rook to e8. There's actually a couple. I mean, there's like another move that we can do. Rook to e8 is perfectly fine. I am gonna go ahead and move the king over to d7. And now notice that this king is attacking this rook. So what should white do? Rook to, well, okay, yeah, I know. So in this position, what should white do? So the king is attacking the rook right now. So we're gonna go ahead and go rook to e4. Yeah, we can do that. Or we can also go rook to e3. This is perfectly fine. I do like rook to e3, and the reason why I prefer this is because they're attacking the pawn. Yeah, this is just like a one move threat, and so white's threatening to take the pawn. I am gonna go ahead and go rook to a3 to protect it, and then what should white do? This should be a pretty easy draw right now. Yep, king goes to d2, and with this move, now the king is attacking the pawn, and white is threatening to take the pawn right now. So, yeah, exactly. So if the king goes to, let's say that the king goes to d6, then the rook can safely just take the pawn. The rook is checking the king and attacking this rook at the same time. So once this rook takes it, king goes there, and then this is a draw. So let's go ahead and go back to the original position. So the main idea for this is if your opponent's pawn and king, if they're on the fourth rank, and if your king is on the first rank, the first thing you need to do is you need to move the rook over to the third rank. And the reason why this is such an important move is because it stops this king from going to the third rank. Okay, so this is very very important. Okay, the rook can check your king, but no big deal. You simply just move the king to d2. Again, I prefer if you go king to d2 because it's on the same line as this pawn. Moving the king to e2 is perfectly fine, but the reason why I don't like it as much is because um um this pawn could potentially go to d3 and check the king one day, but we want to just move the king over to d2. And it's perfectly fine. Rook goes here, it checks the king. Once this king, and then we simply just move the king back. Notice again, the king and pawn are on the same line. And so if this rook goes to b2, we're gonna simply just move the rook to a safe place on the third rank. So let's say that we go rook to g3. This is perfectly fine. The concept again is we need to just stop this king from going to the third rank. So let's say that the rook goes here, and then again Notice it's not safe for this rook to go to f3 or h3 or any of these squares. So we're going to simply just move the rook over to a3. Okay, so all we're doing is we're just sliding this rook back and forth. Once your opponent moves the pawn to d3, notice that this rook can only go to b3 and c3. But also notice that this rook cannot go to g3 because the rook cannot jump over this pawn. The king is threatening to go to e3, and because of that, we need to change our strategy. Once the pawn goes to d3, then this drawing strategy is to check from behind. So we have to move the rook all the way down to up to a8. And then the idea is we're going to check from the 8th rank. So if the king goes to e3, then we move the rook over to e8. And we're going to go ahead and check the king. And if you notice right now, this king has nowhere to hide. That's very, very important. Some people think that checking on a4 is a good move, but this is a big mistake because now the king can successfully move to a3, and then now black is threatening checkmate. And black should win in this position. So you gotta just remember, once the pawn moves to d3, you simply just move the rook to the 8th rank. You check. Let's say that the king goes here. Guess what? We're gonna continue to check from the 8th rank. King goes. Let's say that let's say that the king goes to c4. We're gonna go ahead and move the rook over to c8. King can go here. The rook can continue to check. This is perfectly fine. Rook goes here. If the king goes here, that's perfectly fine. This rook can go to d8, or it can also go to c3. I think personally I would probably go king to d8, and this rook is attacking the pawn. And let's say that this rook goes to h3 to protect it. And then again, we want to win this pawn, and it's very easy to do this by just moving the king to d2. This king is too far away from this pawn. So let's say that the king goes to c5. We simply just win the pawn, and then this should be a draw. So I hope that you found this position to be very beneficial. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. I can show you another rook pawn in game. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is this position is very important. I did show you this position at the June summer camp, but that's okay. I think it's good to have a review. Okay, so let me set this up. Okay. Okay. King or H or a pawn mate. Okay, I'm not too sure what you mean by that, but this is a position and it is white to move. And I'll give you guys time to think about what to do in this position. So in this position, it's white to move. So what should white do? White is going this way. So what should white do? I'm gonna go ahead and go this position. So what should white do? The edge pawn in game. Oh, so you want to talk about okay, hold on. Let me create a new tab. Okay. Hold on. Never sleep. Let me set up a position right now. So you're saying about a king Okay, I'm just trying to set this up. So you're talking about like a king, and then you have a pawn, and then the king can do checkmate. Um, edge pawn. Okay. I don't yeah, you know what? If you have a position like this is going to be a draw, because the pawn is on the edge. The pawn is on the H, um, it's on the edge of the board, so this is gonna be a draw. Um, because let me just give you an example. So, like, for example, if the king goes here, king goes to G8, and then again, if white tries to promote this pawn to queen by moving the pawn to H7, then the king can go to H8, and then if you notice right now, this pawn cannot move, so that means white needs to move the king. Right now, the king is protecting the pawn, but if you notice right now, if we move the king over to H6 to protect the pawn, then this is stalemate. The other alternative is for this king, um, oh, because my game drawn by repetition. Oh, okay, that's good to know. If the king goes to like the other squares like F7, then the king can simply just take the pawn. Um so that's what I can talk about with pawns on the edge of the board. It should be a draw. Um it's the same concept. If you have a position like this, assuming that your opponent's king um um just moves alternates moving the king back and forth, then this should be a draw too. The other thing I can talk about pawn in games is if you have a side pawn and if you have a bishop like this is going to be a draw. So this pawn becomes a queen on A8, and that's a light square. And if you have a dark square bishop, then this is going to be a draw because you can't control the queen square, right? So like for example, if we move the pawn to A7, if the king goes to B7, king goes to B5, king goes back to A8, the king can go to A6 or B6, but notice that this is stalemate. But notice that if you have a right square bishop, then this is going to be a win for white. So this is important. I once, a long time ago, I remember like I played in a tournament. Yeah, I was playing a tournament and I got into this position, so I knew like if you recognize the pattern, then that's gonna help you in your chess games. So again, if you have a white square bishop, this is gonna be a win because this bishop is controlling the queening square for this pawn. So like for example, bishop goes here. I'm sorry about that. The bishop goes here, king goes here, and then let's say that the king goes here. Notice that black's only move is to go to b8. We're going to simply just move the king to b6. And then notice this king cannot go to a7 because of the king. This king cannot go to a8 because of this bishop. So that means that black's only move is to go to c8. And then the pawn can go to a7. And then there's no way for black to stop this pawn from queening, right? So that's great. So again, if we go on, if we talk about the edge pawn on this side of the board, again, it's the same concept. Is if you have okay, so this pawn becomes a queen on h8, and notice that the h8 square, it's a dark square. If you have a light square bishop, then this game is going to be a draw, okay? But if you have a dark square bishop, then this is going to be a win for white. So I hope that you found that to be beneficial. Right now, I want to go back to the last position right here. So we're gonna go ahead and JJ says pawn to h7. Okay, let's say that we go pawn to h7, and then this is a this is a good move. That's great. Okay. And then my question is, what should Mike do if the rook goes here? This should be pretty easy right now. So what should Mike do? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just move the rook over to a8. It checks the king, and once this king goes here, then we can safely just promote the pawn to a queen. Okay, that's great. Let's go back to what actually happened. Um, some people are tempted to go g7. You have to be very careful in this position. So let's say that the king goes here, and I guess this is okay too. But yeah, so you guys got it. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and set up another position right now. Let me go ahead and set this up right now. Okay, let's go ahead and set up another position. Okay, this is another rook pawn in game right now. Okay, I need to go ahead and flip this board. Okay, king goes here, pawn goes here, white's king goes here, black's pawn goes here, and then the rook goes over here right now. Okay, and right now it is black to move. Okay, and okay, so in this position, it is black to move right now. If you take a look at the bar, black is up about 7 points. So the question is, how should black win in this position? Black is going this way right now. B2, yeah, we're gonna simply just move the rook over to B2. Because you are threatening to get a queen. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and move the rook over to g8. And then what should white do? Oh, I'm sorry. What should black do? I'm sorry. It's black to move. So what should black do? So you're saying that B should okay. No. Let's just talk about this position right now. If you notice right now, this king is on the edge of the board, and it may sound tempting to go ahead and get a queen, but the problem with this move is once this rook goes to a8, then this king is forced to go to the b file, and then once the king gets to the b file, then the rook can go here, and then this is going to be a skewer, because once this king gets out of check, rook takes queen, and then white should win in this position. So let's go back. So that's why when you're playing chess, you always want to ask, like, okay, like, if I move here, where is my opponent going to deal? Okay, so okay, so JJ says king goes to b4. That's very, very interesting. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Is what do you do if I go here? Because again, if you promote the pawn to a queen, then I'm gonna skewer you. So we gotta go back for a second. We don't actually don't want to go king to b4. We want to do something else. So let's take that back. Never Sleep says king goes to a6. Yep, we're gonna go ahead and then go here. And let's just take a look at this position right now. Yeah, king goes to a6. If you notice right now, black is threatening to promote this pawn to a queen. Notice this king, it's too far away for this king to protect the b1 square, right? This king is just too far away, right? So if the king does go, well, okay, let's say that I go to b8, then this is pretty straightforward. This pawn can go to g1 and get a queen, and then that should win. But what happens if the rook goes to a8? What should black do? So Knight's rook is checking the king, so what should we do for black? King goes to b7, and then if you notice right now, White's rook is not in a good position right now. Notice this rook cannot safely go to a1 because of this pawn. Notice this rook cannot even do a skewer, right? And if the rook does go to g8, then this pawn is just gonna get a queen. So yeah, that's an interesting pawn in game. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Okay, what I'm gonna do right now is, this is kind of a, well, I'm gonna go ahead and set up another position for you. And this is a fun puzzle. This is like gonna be it's like a in-game video game. Oh wait, I gotta flip the board right now. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay. So in this position, you have to think out of the box. Okay. So we got this one here, one here. We've got this king over here. That goes here. Okay. We've got the knight over here. We've got this bishop here. Oops. Sorry. This is why I have to double check that I set up correctly right now. Okay, let me just make sure that I set this up correctly. Let me go with one bishop, one king. Okay, in this position, it is white to move, and this king is attacking this rook right now. What should white do in this position? White is going this way, so that means that black is going this way. So what should white do in this position? So obviously, we need to move the rook right there. Okay, so Never Sleep says pawn to c6. So again, if you go pawn to c6, I think I'm gonna go ahead and check you. Yeah, we want to do something else right now. Yeah, let's do something else. Can we? Yeah, we want to do something else. We want to do something about this like right now. Okay, so it's like to move. This king is attacking the rook right now. Never Sleep. It says rook to b7. Wow, you guys found the right answer. Yes, it is. And some people think, yeah, but that's not safe because the knight can just take it. Right, exactly. Some people might think, oh yeah, this is a silly move. It looks like a silly move to me, but this is actually the correct move. Knight takes rook, and um, and then what do we do now? Pawn goes to c6, and now this is such a awesome move right now because this pawn wants to become a queen, and notice this knight, it cannot effectively stop this pawn from queening. I know. If the knight goes to d8, I'm sorry, d6 to control the c8 square, well, guess what? The king can simply just take the knight. Where else can the knight go? Well, obviously, if the knight goes to a5, then we can simply just move the pawn to c7. That cannot stop this pawn from promoting. And let's say that the knight goes to d8. It's attacking this pawn, but we simply just move the pawn forward to c7. And then this is such a beautiful move because the pawn is threatening to take the knight, and the pawn can also go to c8. So if the knight ever does go, let's say the knight goes here, then the pawn can just get a queen. So I think that this is a very nice puzzle. So I'm glad that you guys solved it. Some people might be inclined to like maybe move the rook back to f1 or something, but this is again is think out of the box. The best move was for the rook to just take the pawn. So yeah, it's a very nice puzzle. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to something else. This is going to be another rook pawn endgame. So let me go ahead and set this up. So let's figure this one out. Okay, and it is white to move in this position right now. It is white to move. Black is going this way, and what should white do in this position right now? So it's white to move. Rook goes to a3. Okay, I think you guys got it. We definitely want to move the rook over to a3. It checks the king. Notice this king cannot go to the fourth rank thanks to this king. So therefore, let's move the king over to g2. And then how does white continue? So this is pretty obvious. We're gonna go ahead and just yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just take the pawn. That's pretty obvious. It checks the king, and then okay, let's say that the king goes to g3, and then what should white do? So what should white do in this position? So I just move this king over here. Rook goes to a3, and it checks the king. And then we're gonna go ahead and move the king back to g2. And then what should white do? What should white do in this position? King goes to d4. Yeah. So right now this king is very far away from this pawn. I mean, this king needs to get closer. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move the king over to g4. And then after that, the pawn is gonna go here. It seems like white is in trouble. What should white do right now? So notice that when we move the king over, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go rook to a2. The rook is checking the king. Notice again, this king cannot go to the third bank because of this king. So this is very important because the king and the rook, they work together as a team. They're working together. That's very, very important. Okay, so obviously, I do not want to move the king over to f1 because then the rook can simply just take the pawn. Um, so because of that, I am going to go ahead and move the king over to g1. And then what do we do now? So notice, this pawn can get a queen, but what should we do? King goes to g3. Yep, we're gonna go ahead and just move the king closer. Yep, very good. And Zach decides to get a queen. Yep. If that happens, then what should White do? Rook to a1, and if you notice right now, this is a checkmate. Yes, exactly. So I think that this is a very interesting puzzle because some people are just like scared, like, oh my gosh, if I let my opponent get a queen, then I'm gonna lose. But sometimes it's okay for your opponent to just promote the pawn to a queen. In this position, yeah, if the pawn promotes, then you just do the checkmate. Now I'm going to ask you another question. What happens if black tries to get fancy and promotes the pawn to a knight? What will you do now? So now the knight is checking the king, and what should you do now? So we gotta get on the check. So the knight is checking the king, and where should we move the king? We're gonna go ahead and go rook to f3. And the reason why we're gonna go ahead and do this is because this king is controlling the f2 square. The king is also controlling d3. Notice that this knight has no safe places to go to. And notice that if this king moves, the king goes to um, the king can go to f1. If that's the case, then we go rook to a1, and then that's going to be checkmate. So if the knight goes here, then we can simply just go ahead and just take it. So that's beautiful. Um, if the king goes to h3, this is not going to be good because the knight can go here and check. And then yeah, this is not going to be good for white. So you got to remember, if the pawn becomes a knight, you want to move the king over to f3 because it's controlling the f2 and then um, the g3 squares. So that's great. So I look forward to teaching you guys tomorrow. Is there any positions you want me to cover for tomorrow? Just let me know. Any positions you want to talk about or any puzzles you want to show you guys tomorrow? Okay. Well, just think about this. Okay, you guys. We You want to know about two knights versus a pawn. Okay, I will consider that for tomorrow. Is there any other things you want me to talk about for tomorrow? Checkmate. Okay. I can try my best. Two knights versus a pawn. Hmm, that's interesting. I'll have to think about that. But okay. Um, so again, if you have not subscribed, to my channel, I do invite you to subscribe to my channel. Also, the other thing, I do, um, yeah, I mean, I'll look into that. So I mean, it's a good suggestion. One other thing is, if you want me to analyze one of your chess games, for free, I will be happy to analyze one of your chess games. To do that, just copy the PGN of your chess game, and then if you go to my website, chessbuddydoran.com/contact, you can yeah, copy the PGN and then paste the PGN in here, and then I'll be happy to analyze your chess game for you. The pawn self stalemate. Uh, okay, well I'll see what I can do about that. Um, yeah, I'll think about that. So, okay, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it was a pleasure of teaching you guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, you guys take care. Bye.